and welcome back to Current Calamities, where I take a break from the past to look forward to the future with the games of the present. You may notice I'm not in the office this time because I need to be in the appropriate setting for the game we're discussing today. Pac-Man Museum Plus, the latest compilation of classics brought to you by the lovely folks at Bandai Namco. I've been a big fan of Namco's Museum series. I did a video of the GBA version years ago, and it's more than fitting for their yellow munching mascot to get a compilation of his own. What about the Galaxians? Obviously, I played my fair share of Pac-Man games over the years, even done a few videos on a few of them too that I'll reference during this video. I even have some Pac-Man related stuff that found themselves in a museum exhibit. So I'm considering this game as everything coming together full circle. Pac-Man is over 40 years old as of this video, and there's never a worse time to play some of his games. So let's get the fever all over again. The opening to the main menu is interesting. You get the logo with the same Pac-Man jingle you heard earlier, but after that it's kinda eerily silent besides the arcade noise. You can change the music up with the jukebox with the tunes you unlock, but I like the ambient sound better. Don't want to get annoyed by the same loop. That just means the vinyl is scratched. I did get a head start so I can get a feel of things, and the best place to start is with the arcade that started it all. The original arcade game really needs no introduction. You are a man of Pac and whatever that entails, and you have to eat the dots in the blue maze while avoiding the four colorful ghosts in Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde. Eating the blinking energizers will turn the ghosts dark blue, and you can eat them for bonus points for a limited time, and when you eat all the dots you'll move on to the next round, signified by the fruit bonus that you can also eat when it appears. It's the classic you remember and love throughout your life, and it's the real arcade deal and not the NES port that tends to get ported a lot. But one bad thing I have to say is that it doesn't control the best on the Switch. You only have two ways to control Pac-Man, and that's with either the stick or the four directional buttons, neither of which felt natural or comfortable to me, and I died a lot because of it. I know I can do much better than what my current high score suggests, and that's down to me being pretty much spoiled with having access to the arcade version, and said arcade version having fast mode, the way it was meant to be played. To be honest, I was getting livid with this game, even added more credits to it too, because I wanted to prove to myself I could do better. Oh yeah, the game does have a coin system, I wouldn't worry about running out, as you start out with a buttload and will make up for the ones you did use. Which begs the question, why is this a thing in the first place? There's an obvious answer that we'll get to. Now off to the sequel in Super Pac-Man, probably one of his lesser known sequels Pac-Man got in the States compared to the likes of Ms. and Jr., neither of which appear in this museum. You can make the argument that they don't belong since this focuses on just Pac-Man, but I think Bandai Namco should have considered adding them in here because that's what many of us would remember from Pac-Man's history. At least we did get the true sequel that differs a bit from the original. This time it's all about the food and you gotta eat them all while avoiding the same ghosts. You still have energizers to help you out as well as the new super dots that when eaten will turn Pac-Man into Super Pac-Man, where you'll fly over the ghosts and by holding the A button you can move faster across the maze so long as you remain super. I did better on this game, though the same problem remained, just not as big of a bother as last time, and I did do a quick view of this a long time ago, but it wasn't on the original hardware. Gotta fix that one day. I know this is my buddy Doug's favorite arcade machine, and he can put up some really good Pac-Man scores, and I have the video proof. Unlike some people. We'll just continue doing this chronologically by going to Pac Pal, the only Pac-Man game that never left Japan during his peak in popularity, probably because it was even more of a departure from the dot-eating formula. Pac-Man and the Ghosts, why isn't a band called that, make their return, but this time Pac-Man has assistance in the form of his green pal named Mill. What she does is on occasion grab the fruit you open up by flipping the cards on the maze, and you have to catch up to her before she discards it. In case you're unfamiliar with any of the games in the compilation, they provide you with a handy guide to fill you in on the controls and history like any museum should. After playing it for a bit, I can say for certain that it's odd, but I gravitate towards odd games, and I was able to figure out this game quickly, and liked its style. I mean, how could you not like the little cameos from Galaxian and Rally X, or instead of having Energizers, having the ability to stun the ghosts in many ways to get those bonus points? There is a lot to this game that I want to figure out, so I'll be playing this game more in the future. Though my biggest takeaway is that I wouldn't really call Mill my pal, but compare her to a little sibling that just gets in the way and does nothing right. That was not meant to be a dig at you whatsoever. Also, when you do certain things in the games, not only may you earn coins, but doing missions assigned to the game can unlock some stuff that I'll get to later. Clearing enough of them may even get you some characters to roam around your arcade, including Professor Pac-Man? We can't acknowledge Ms. Pac-Man, but we have this guy that had the weirdest Pac-Man game bar none. It's fun to learn about the isosceles. Pac-Land, probably better known as the one that switched genres for better or worse. Now, Pac-Man is in a platformer where you have to run to the end of every level filled with obstacles, and I'm not just talking about the ghosts, for you'll have to jump to grab some items for points or to help you out against those guys you love to munch. If you make it to the end with enough time to spare, you'll get bonus points and move on with increased difficulty, but that'll depend on your own playing ability, and I know I can't get over this body of water with this springboard. It's still an interesting game that's more important than any of us may first think. It did come out in 1984, before Mario became Super, and Toru Iwatani, creator of Pac-Man, has said Shigeru Miyamoto told him he was heavily influenced by Pac-Land, so hey, where would the industry be without it? I'm also realizing a continuity error. Does he have a long or short nose? Probably depends on how much he lies to his Miz that he's seeing another Pac. Pac-Mania, a game I initially didn't think I would like, but no matter how you spin the formula, it still turns out good. Our yellow wonder is in an isometric-like maze and has to avoid the many ghosts that'll appear. He does have the ability to jump, but so will a few new ghosts as you get farther, and there are points galore if you know how to get them. This was another game I did a QV on a while back. I'd recommend trying it out. Again, you really can't go wrong with the old formula, no matter how it changes. I still dislike the isometrics, because believe me, there are more negative examples than there are positive. Most of the other games are on this multicade of sorts. There's a couple I want to highlight, but let's get through the others. Both versions of Pac-Man Arrangement were pretty fun to play, and I'm hitting myself that I missed out on them until now. Pac-In-Time was another platformer that I think is surprisingly better than Pac-Land, a hidden gem for me, while Pac-Attack, the puzzle game, I can do without, doesn't do too much for me. Championship Edition was pretty cool with what it does. Pac-and-Roll Remix was an interesting twist, though I think I enjoyed Pac-Motos more, but those games have nothing on the last two we'll be highlighting now. Second to last is Battle Royale, probably the most ingenious way to get a head-to-head four-way into a Pac-Man game. One player can control one of 4 colorful Pac-Man and have to try to get one over their opponents while avoiding the ghosts. You can easily bump your opponent into one of the ghosts, but what you want to do is eat the dots in order to spawn more dots plus a power pellet, which will enlarge you like in Super Pac, but now you can go after your foes and try to munch them for the win. I've played this a few times in my life in modern arcades or conventions like at GameWorks or California Extreme, and it's always been fun to play with others, though I lose that here because I'm playing on my own. I do know that there's online features in this game, but I don't know if that includes multiplayer, though it should, but I can still play locally with others, like with Laser Dave. Last but most certainly not least is 256, one of the latest of Pac-Man's greatest. For those of you that don't know, if you play Pac-Man to level 255, the 256 level will be half garbled with symbols and you'll be stuck at the kill screen. This game takes that fact and runs with it. Very literally. The object is to make your way through the endless random generating maze, avoiding all ghosts and additional obstacles. You have power-ups that you can use if you can reach them, and you can get more as you get better, which is good for me because I'll definitely need them. I played this a few times thinking I was doing decently, but it turns out I didn't reach the bare minimum of points the game wanted in the mission. That kinda irked me and I want to do better, so I'll keep playing this game and I'd rather play an endless runner on my Switch than on my phone.
I don't conform to normality.
Well, that's all the games available, and I'd say it's a pretty good selection. Lots of hits, barely any misses, and if I labeled one as such, that's just based on preference. You might like them, and there's still more to do, like using your coins to buy crap like Gashapon or other items that you can get anyway from missions, and you could customize your arcade however you want by moving the machines around or adding new flooring and wallpaper. Wait, what? How is this art in the game? I thought it was made for the Atari port. How does Namco own it? Now I gotta know the history of this art now. So with all that being said, what's my overall opinion? I'm learning late in this video that this is an update on an original game, hence the plus, and Ms. Pac and other characters are currently in a legal dispute, hence why they aren't in this sequel. But that doesn't take away from the strong library it currently has with the original Man of Pac. Pac-Man Museum Plus is still a solid compilation of titles. Most I know and the few I didn't were still pretty good. There were only a couple I didn't like, but I just need to spend more time with them or let you decide for yourself. If you like Pac-Man and want to learn about the games that made him who he is today, this wouldn't be a bad place to start. It has the potential to stand on its own with the museums that Namco usually puts out. Speaking of which, I need to get the Switch version, I somehow don't have it yet. So what do you think? Do you agree with me, or have your own thoughts? Let me know by leaving a comment. If you like what you see, like the video with those thumbs up. If you think anyone else would like this vid, share it around. And if you want to see more of me, this show, and others, hit the subscribe button. I'm BrianTheBlue, thanks for watching. I'm going back to the past, and until next time, I'll see you in the future.